808s and Joysticks with Tom Stone and Tairell Hayward-Brown.
Welcome to 808s and Joysticks, the show that bridges the gap between games, music, seasoned with pop culture. I'm Tairell, and joining me today, as always, is Tom.
Yes, so there's been a lot of controversial news this week, the previous weeks actually, regarding something that we talked about a lot on the show before, and that's loot boxes and microtransactions, and it's really reaching a point now where we want to discuss it in a more serious matter, and actually try and show what's going on and really, make sure that people take notice of this now. And this has all come down to NBA 2K20's recent trailer, which was released regarding their My Team mode, which is their sort of FIFA Ultimate Team mode, as you say, which is a mode where you buy packs through loot boxes. But this time, they've really sort of pushed it out way too far. The trailer showed off glimpses of what you can do in the mode to gain players or gain loot boxes. So you still have the ability to buy packs of cards, but also now you can play roulette, slot machines, and also sort of not pachinko, but like a sort of ball drop sort of game as well. So
it is probably. You're probably right. It probably is kind of like a pachinko game.
It is pachinko.
Yeah.
So 3 casino mini games in a 3+ rated game, which is a basketball game, and it makes no sense whatsoever. They've really just sort of gone, let's see how much we can get away with here. And Peggy's response was abysmal. There's no other word to really say about it. They basically just said that, to go into more detail, Yongye did a really good 3 videos on this, explaining the different Peggy ratings and what actually sort of allows you to have gambling in a game. Now, simulated gambling is a 12+, so really this is simulated gambling. However, you can also gamble with real money in the simulated gambling, so technically that's just gambling, right?
Well, technically, yeah, it is just all gambling, in my opinion. I don't really care if it's real or simulated. It's still creating the means to allow a person to, a young person who doesn't have, the know-how or hasn't fully matured enough to make great decisions, they can be tainted by something like this, a system like this being put in place for a young child that's just playing a basketball game or whatnot. Even not even a young child, there's some people who are just susceptible to addiction, and they could have kicked real gambling, but now they're addicted to simulating gambling. And yeah, it doesn't really technically mean that they're wagering anything, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be some type of formal way of, getting ahead in these kind of like systems, or buying more coins. I can't see them allowing players to just infinitely do these slot machines. Like, we know that there's going to have to be some type of in-game currency or something that's going to be used. I'm not quite sure because I haven't actually seen all of the information about 2K, because when I seen it, I was just like, I'm not even surprised. But how do 2K think they're going to get away with this when EA's been blocked in several countries for doing the card packs? So I'm thinking, how did 2K get around this? And the way they are getting around it is the fact that Peggy and the ERSB are just technically they're not really identifying it as gambling. They're really dancing around it. And as you said before, real gambling and simulated gambling. Obviously, the real one meaning players can gamble, including betting or wagering real cash or currency. That is like the official definition, according to the ESRB, which is obviously a totally independent and separate union that was created by, the industry, quote unquote. And then obviously you got simulated, which is, you know, a player can gamble without betting or wagering real cash or currency. Still, I think that's very, very dodgy, because like I know there's a bunch of things that are technically classed as simulated gambling, but I know for a fact you could use real money to buy probably like more spins or buy more in-game currency. Like, I'm not too sure how there's any difference. Like, I don't know any game right now that has some type of like gambling system in it that doesn't involve real money in a way. Like, why would they allow a player to just keep rolling on a dice? Do you know what I mean? Unless it was an actual casino mini game, then fair enough, I understand. But if this isn't an actual real mini game and you're gonna have to use some type of currency, like, where is that currency coming from? I know it has to either be grinded to hell, or you're gonna have to buy some type of like coin pack or something. I'm not, like, there's just things that I'm not being clear right now. And the fact that like the ESRB set up by the ESA, which is supposed to be something that protects the industry and protects their consumers, like they're the body that's supposed to be, you know, governing things. Like, the way how they pick and choose what they want to, you know, deem as dangerous and harmful content, and, you know, get it blocked and banned in certain areas, and then they want to not even think about the fact that there's actual gambling within a children's game, you know, a game that's supposed to be, you know, rated 3+. I think that we need to start taking a real look at the ESA and what they've actually done. Like, they've been that is the only body that we have, and they've been doing it for 25 years. Like, why haven't we had some type of new body? Like, I feel like we need somebody else to come in, because they're obviously not working anymore. And this is the same company that leaked all of these journalists' information. Like, they clearly don't give a shit about anything but, you know, the top guys in it, which is the corporations and whatnot. They must be running it. Like, they must have some sort of big say, because I can't see how they could allow these kind of things to slide, but then have such strict and stringent effects on like things that have like violence and all this other content in games that have been proven not to have an effect on people. Like, that is not what leads them to be dangerous. Do you know what I mean? Like, so, but gambling has had a real life effect on, like, it's had an effect on people's lives. Like, they've lost their homes, they've lost a lot of things due to gambling. So I think they just need to take a closer look at those bodies.
Well, to put this into sort of context, Yongye speaks about in his video that Pokemon Blue and I think Pokemon Red, probably about 15-20 years ago now, they were rated PEGI 12 due to simulated gambling on slot machines within that game. So it really, I don't know, it has this sort of way of showing that it I don't know, something different has happened in the last 20 years that has changed how they rate things.
For sure. I think really they've tried to look at how certain games can work, and they've tried to look at the loopholes, like, oh, okay, what can we work around to like still effectively market this game to a younger audience? Well, oh, we've also slipped in these like hidden gambling mechanics. You know, it's just gross. Like, when you really think about it, you think these people really know the audience that is going to play these games. And I'm not saying that they won't, because a lot of like older people also play these games and are very susceptible to the loot boxes and microtransactions and whatnot. And as much as they don't want to admit it, like, it definitely, like, I know sometimes I said the younger generation is the driving force for this, but they're not. It is the older generation that is the driving force of some of these microtransactions that are getting worse and worse. Like, I can't really see how, but putting it in like these games and stuff like that, like, someone must be buying it. Kids can't just they're not spending thousands. Like, a parent would know if their kids were spending thousands at a time. That's a rare case. I don't feel like it happens a lot. If you know what I mean. I just want to know really what your thoughts on it is. Like,
well, I think really, I was speaking about this to one of my friends offline, not on show, but we were speaking, and he was telling me about all the stuff that was happening, and I was saying, like, you know, it's really a bit sort of, you know, I was going to say a word then, but, you know, I mean, I'll say it. It's fucked, because it is, like, you can't justify it in any way, and the fact that they're coming out and saying, well, you know, their official statement was they're very aware that it might get too close to comfort, and that's part of the internal discussion they're having. But the games industry is constantly evolving. As a rating organisation, we need to ensure that these developments are reflected in our classification. But we don't base our decision on the content of a single trailer, but we'll probably assess the rating system, how it should address these concerns. There was more detail in the statement as well, where they said that they didn't actually fully know the content of the game, and it might be different, but surely they're getting some benefit out of this, right? Like, surely you can't release a statement saying we don't base our ratings on the trailer. The trailer's got a PEGI 3 rating in it. The trailer's now been took down from the UK account on YouTube. But, like...
No, I'm sorry, yeah. Why are they just doing bold-faced lies? Why are they doing bold-faced lies, though? Like, if it has a PEGI rating in there, that means someone has reviewed that portion of the game. Not just the trailer. They must have reviewed that portion of the game and actually played it in order to give it a rating. Otherwise, it would say rating still pending.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so they've rated the game. It might not be as bad as the trailer looks, but number one, you've still greenlit that trailer to go out with your rating on it. Number two, your current standards for ratings state that simulated gambling is a 12 and gambling using real money is 18, which both are present in the trailer, so both must be present in the game, unless the trailer's not the trailer doesn't depict what happens in the game, which is not right, because that's not what happens in the trailer.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just complete BS. Like, there's nothing to actually back up. It's one of those what I'd call like a sort of filler apology or filler statement. You know, it's there to sort of protect themselves, but no other reason for it to be said. It's just like, we're aware of the issue. Yeah, that's all good, but like, what are you going to do about it?
I'm about to say that, like, you've been saying that you've been aware of the loot boxes and you've been aware of all these things for a long time now, and yet they're still being put inside of games that are marketed and released towards the younger generation, like, towards, like, kids. Like, you can't bring out a Star Wars game and just jam pack it full of loot boxes and then not even mention it on the actual game in the box to say that there's actual gambling in there. Like parents were just shocked, and obviously because of Disney, which we'll get on to later, they're such a family, you know, fun brand that they weren't rocking with that. They were just like, whoa, what do you mean there's gambling in the game? Like, it's like they weren't even really privy to what was going on. They were kind of just a little bit baffled themselves. Like, well, why is there loot boxes in a Star Wars game? Mm-hmm. Specifically? You ask me, Disney, I don't know. Like, I don't know why there's one in the game. Like, it's just baffling. These greedy corporations, and it is really just exploiting the consumer, and they're just playing off like all sides as well. Like, they're like exploiting the younger like audience and like almost kind of brainwashing them, and then also the amount of like missing content and rehashes and things like that they keep doing in the industry as well. It's just like messing about with like the older consumers that, you know, enjoyed some of this content that is now being like rehashed and maybe it won't be as good, or it's a game that is, you know, doesn't really have much of an original concept or whatnot. But that's just not to say that it's not the consumer's fault. It's not anyone's fault other than these governing bodies and all of the corporations. I'll call them the corporations because there's a difference between developers and there's a difference between like corporations like EA and like Take-Two and stuff like that. Like they're a whole different kettle of fish. Like they are like massively like they've got their hands in a lot of other things that have nothing to do with games as well. Like so, it's just it's just a really sticky one. Probably like I'm just really like upset that like this is how the state of everything is now. Like day in day out, we have to talk about loot boxes again and like gambling again and like just companies just being shit. Like I'm sorry, coming out with a statement saying and our game has no loot boxes in it is not a feature. Can we stop that? That's a really bad trend. That's I see it a lot of these days. Like people keep coming out saying, we have no microtransactions and we have no DLC and we have no loot boxes. But then they want to start put
the asterisks at the end of it just in case you want to add them later on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because, how many times have we heard that and, content was added later on in the game? Or we've had a game that's come out that does not have anything, like any DLC or microtransactions, but the game would be significantly empty or will have features missing or just won't be a good game.
Well,
and then their justification is, we didn't have time to finish the game. I'm sorry, you've been working on this game for 5 years or 4 years or whatever. Like, these games are not made within a year. You've been pre-planning this. Like, don't lie to me. Like, Anthem shouldn't have released the way it was. We all know that.
But look, we've mentioned it before. It is the people at the top that are running the industry at the moment. But while we're just on the topic of loot boxes quickly, because we did mention it last week, but just a little bit again about the Apex Legends debacle, which obviously, was the big loot box topic last show. It, like you said, every show it's just loot boxes and more, but they had a whole event for this game that was going really well, where you could only purchase the Raven's Bite heirloom, which is like a epic melee weapon, but you could only purchase that if you purchased coins, which allowed you to buy 12 rare items and 12 epic items, which then allowed you the chance to purchase the Raven's Bite weapon. So you can't get that weapon unless you buy 24 items, which is around $170, and then you have to pay $35 to unlock the other weapon. And I mean, the response from the developers was awful. The response from EA was, again, another one of these, we're aware of that, here you go, we'll give you a limited time discount to buy these certain items on certain days.
Gosh, just giving the consumer the runaround, just trying to confuse us. You try and confuse us, yeah. and then everyone's confused about what to do and how to get it, and then people just fold because they want the item, so they just end up spending the full whack. Like, it's a sad reality. Like, no, it's no one's fault. It's almost like we've been conditioned to do shit like that now. And I'm not saying that I do that. I don't think you do that either. Like, we're very anti any DLC, anything to do with that. Like, I know I don't buy into stuff like that, and I'm pretty sure you don't either.
I'll buy DLC if it's actual DLC, but
okay. I'll rephrase that.
Minor cosmetic or in-game currency, or pay to win stuff like that is I don't think I've ever really purchased stuff like that.
I don't think I've ever purchased anything to like try and help me within a game. Like, I just don't see the reason why. Like, why would I do that? Like, DLC, yes, I can say that. Like, back in my day, definitely bought some map packs and whatever in it on COD. who didn't back in the day, innit? Like, it was just a little thing, everyone played on the maps. You wanted to play with your friends, they all had the new maps, and if you didn't have them, you couldn't play with them. So I bought some map packs, but this is money that, like, I saved up from, like, Christmas or, like, my birthday, and then I asked my dad to, like, I gave him the money so he could, like, put his card and then pay for the map packs. Like, it's a different time. Like, I never ever had access to my, like, parents' credit cards on my gaming console. But you know what I mean? Like,
you do say that. You say it's a different time. But I want to put this point to you. The fact that it was a different time, but that has led to this, because it's been a gradual increase sort of every year, every generation of game. It's sort of like, we'll test what we can get away with now and we'll do it again and keep testing that. And what happens is that bar keeps on getting higher and higher and higher.
For sure.
Or lower.
And I take, as I was saying, we can take responsibility for things like that. Like we can say that, okay, yeah, fair enough, map packs, but what can you do back then when, like, to be honest, the map packs was actually pretty good. Like, it wasn't that expensive, and you got, like, quite a few new maps. Now when you do map packs, you get, like, a couple, maybe one. Like, you get one map.
Yeah, this is, like, you know, $7.99 for one map pack.
Because it's quote unquote a large scale map, because they keep doing these 32 versus 32 man games now. Like, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, there's too much shit going on. Like, I can't see how you can have a 32 versus 32 war. Like, when I played Battlefield 1, I thought it was going to be a really cool concept to play, like, in a large scale battle. But when I did play the game, like, I just thought it was just so stressful, because I just thought to myself, like, yo, I'm actually playing, like, a real life war game right now. Like, I can't be bothered for this. Like, it was just like, you just threw me in a large scale map and you were just like, oh yeah, just deal with it. Like, and those were back then, I think there was only like maybe 3 maps on rotation. Like, how boring is that? Like, fair enough, they're large, so there's probably areas of the map you would never see. There's areas of the map that I've never seen on the Call of Duty games, because they were quite large. Now you're gonna throw me into a map that's so big you can have 64 players in it. Like, I just feel like people just over time definitely got lazy. Definitely did get lazy. It's the same way of, like, PUBG had no excuse. I remember when that was all out, like, with Fortnite and PUBG. Like, bearing in mind, we know, like, we have our gripes with Epic. Like, what Fortnite is forever, like, keeps developing, at least. Like, they, like, constantly evolved the game. Like, PUBG, like, had the Microsoft backing. They had Bluehole, and, like, they had, like, Chinese investors and all sorts of stuff like that. Like, and the game is so slow to actually make any progress on anything, and people are just waiting so long for content to be created, and I don't understand why. Because if we're going off the logic that games need to generate money in order to make new content, that game has made so much money and not enough content.
Well, it's the same with most games these days, but we spoke about loot boxes quite a lot, but we're going on about games making money, and there's another big topic that's come up this week, and it's something that we want to talk about as well, raise awareness of for this, because Telltale games are being revived. However, it's not exactly what you think it is. Kotaku's article on this is really good. The title is straight to the point and explains it. It says 2 people who didn't work at Telltale Games say they're bringing Telltale Games back, which is exactly what's happening. The studio isn't being revived. People have bought the naming of the studio and its existing IPs, and then offered previous workers, not all of them, just certain previous workers, roles at the company, the new company, but only on a freelance contract basis, until they want to offer them a proper job. So really, there's nothing to be excited about here. It's the same situation that we've had previously in the games industry. By working freelance, they don't have to abide to many laws. So there's nothing that they have in place for that.
Yeah, like, I'm really seeing a lot of like backlash on this, and then I'm seeing people who are obviously in support too. But Telltale as a company, it had its own demise because it failed to innovate. It failed to make something new. Like, those Walking Dead games and things like that, like, they got so boring for people. Like, people were literally saying that, like, they were so boring, like, to the point where, like, they just didn't bother playing any of the other games. It kind of gets repetitive when you're just playing a point and click virtual, like, you know, story, like, especially for the Walking Dead, like, a story that has been told in so many different forms now. Like, now you've got the graphic novel, which is the original. You've got 2 TV series, a potential 3rd apparently is on the way. All these games that have come out for it. I'm pretty sure there's other Walking Dead stuff as well. Like, it's such a large scale, you know, IP. Same things with like all of their other games, like the Wolf Among, like they struggled to evolve with the times. Like, people weren't playing their games as much, and just to bring back Telltale, like, for what reason? Like, to make these games that, like, not a lot of people are going to buy, like, and how are they going to make their money? That was the problem in the first place. They couldn't make enough money to pay the investors back in the first place. So how are they now going to make money, even with this new company? Like,
I don't think the original Telltale was say it's not necessarily the lack of innovation. I think it is in a part, but it's also the amount of games they released, how much they sort of saturated the market with these games coming out all the time and doing seasons, and, you know, like you said, it is a bit samey, and people will still play them, but it got very the same and very dated very quickly, and the team wasn't big enough, and they had too many teams working on too many things and not enough money coming back in,
and they were just buying up like brand IPs. Like, they were just it was very reminiscent of like the early 2000s, when there was just a lot of really bad like film games, and a lot of bad, like, you know, like games that were just based on brands that we already existed. Like, it felt like that. It felt like they were just buying up every popular IP, and then they just failed to really hit the mark on a lot of them. Like, The Walking Dead, like, literally like, people just didn't care about that game in the end because it was so the same. And then, like, it's the same with what else did they do? I can't remember what else.
There's Borderlands, Game of Thrones, Batman, Wolf Among Us. There's more than that as well.
Oh, Game of Thrones.
But they just sort of kept, like you said, kept buying stuff. The Stranger Things game, I think, would have been good. And obviously, I'm not sure if that deal is still in place with this company, but what it looks like to me is a get-rich-quick scheme from 2 people that are taking a risk to buy up a company with IPs for probably cheap and try and make some money off it, which, you know, is a good business move, possibly, for them, but it's not good for the industry. And the other thing is, it reminds me of, like you said, the early 2000s, but it reminds me of companies like Atari, where Atari went bust, people bought them, got the back catalogue, and then absolutely ruined, I don't know how many games in that back catalogue, just by releasing awful versions or mobile versions of those games that were sort of just put like so much microtransactions and everything in there that it just sort of, that IP that was once up there was just dropped down to sort of, you know, average or sort of poor level, and people were just not interested in it anymore.
Exactly. It was just like, oh, that's why I was like, when I was trying to like say at like the beginning of the show. I was trying to just say like more about how it's not necessarily our fault, about how these things are like these companies and that really think that we want these things in the game. Like you're gonna bring back a game that we already played when now you're putting microtransactions in it, but why? Like I know you're gonna try and say it's to make money, but is it really? Because you've already sold me the game. The content's already in there. You just blocked it behind something. Mm-hmm. So it means that like you could really remove that block. And games have done that before, where something might have been might have had a paywall, and you know they got enough backlash, so they were like, "Oh, okay, we're just going to remove the payment option out of this, then, and yeah, you can just continue doing what you want to do." And I'm just thinking, so that wasn't a necessary part of the game. Then you didn't need to have any monetization in that part of the game, or you didn't need to make the player, say for example, Sora's Wrath, the true ending of that game, as was on PlayStation 3, was actually DLC. So you never got the real ending of the game.
Mm-hmm. But
unless you bought the DLC, like that was just terrible. That was Capcom when they were at their peak BS. Mm-hmm. It was so peak BS then. Like they're BS now, but that was peak BS. Capcom right there.
But I just want to bring it back to being sort of more positive. And as much as this deal might not be a good thing for the industry, there are signs of positivity as well. And the new CEO of Telltale does say that they want to build a sustainable company. It's imperative that they take a slow and methodical approach to growth. And that means that they want to do a non-crunch work culture. And they'll be hiring 8 to 10 people in the next 6 months. And somewhere around 30 by the end of our first year is what they want to end up with. He said they'd love to bring everyone back. But the economic reality of the games industry just means it's not possible. And it would be irresponsible of them to do so. So while it is possibly a cash-in deal to try and, you know, pick up some of these and do something with it, it does look like they understand that they can't do too much too soon, and they need to actually concentrate on building it up to make it a sustainable company before, you know, trying to buy up everything everywhere. I also think that was sort of, you know, a bit of the demise of Telltale in the end as well, because it grew so quickly. And people wanted games like that so quickly with different IPs, and they were probably getting deals left, right, and centre that they thought, we can do this.
Yeah. And
sort of, you know, took on too much.
That's when we read that massive article about the demise of Telltale. That's essentially what was going on in it. Like, they were just accepting every project. Like, anything that was thrown their way, they were accepting it, because obviously these TV companies like Warner Brothers and that, they can see that like, oh wow, like we can just release Game of Thrones again, but through a game. Like, oh, and we can charge like £50 like a pop for each like episode or whatever, like, or each season or series or whatever. Like, that's just a way to resell the show. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just another way to resell it. The same that you don't even have to get any source material. Like, you can watch the show and just recreate the scenes. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it kind of was a really non-sustainable, like, it wasn't a good model by the end of it. Like, that's why I want to know how they're actually going to work this out now. But they do have the director of operations from the original Telltale working at the new Telltale in the exact same role, and apparently she was very well liked and respected and had no part in like the demise of Telltale. So that's a good sign. They're at least trying to get like key people who had good impact on the business rather than the negative. So I'm hoping something great comes out of this. I'm not trying to be too pessimistic, but the way how the industry is at the moment, you can't get your hopes up too much anymore.
Yeah,
it's gone.
I mean, we spoke a lot about industry-related topics at the start of this show, and really probably didn't expect to cover this much in such a long amount of time. So we do have some other topics, but we're going to jump into some of the big stuff in games in the last few weeks, which was Gamescom. If you remember, in our last show, it was ongoing as we were recording, so we have all the news that's happened at Gamescom now. We're just going to talk a little bit about that and the stuff that's interested us from that. I mean, the first thing that's interesting to start off with is that EA, PlayStation, and Nintendo all abstained from hosting a press conference this year.
Yo,
at Gamescom.
Not just them, Xbox also did as well.
Xbox hosted like a special Xbox Live thing, but yeah, they didn't do like a proper conference.
Yeah, they did one like a whole week before like Gamescom even like kicked off, which is like apparently very weird for Xbox as well, because they never they usually don't do that. So I was just like, what's going on here? Like, this is Gamescom. Like, this one was supposed to be for press only. Like, but there is nothing for press to cover. Like, I'm not really quite sure.
Next gen's 130% around the corner.
Oh yeah, of course, next gen's like definitely around the corner. But I feel like these kind of shows and stuff are starting to lose their weight a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because people are doing this streaming stuff now. Even Stadia went on to do a Stadia Connect.
Oh gosh, that oh man, the stuff that like came out about like Stadia, like it's real shaky. Like I really want to know how this is going to come out. Really want to know how this is all going to like shape up. Like, what is your thoughts on Stadia? Because I'm pretty sure you've heard about it as a whole. Like, apparently, like you really don't own your games at all. Like, your game could just disappear one day if Google just wants to get rid of it.
That's sort of the same with every other digital purchase, though. As much as you don't realise it is.
Not necessarily, because you can actually purchase like a license for certain games. Like games like that, like with Stadia, because it's cloud based, the title's never on your system, if you know what I mean. So like, it was hard to explain. Like, I remember like reading all through it, and I was just like, yeah, I'm definitely not rolling with this. Like, I will probably never ever invest in it, because it just seems too like much of a grey area. Like, this seems like another thing. If we allow it to happen, it will be a really bad like first step for cloud gaming, like proper cloud gaming. So
I think it has potential, but it is very early. I don't think the price is shit. And the price is really bad. Like, I don't agree with that as like a pricing system. Like, you're gonna have to pay for, the games, but you also have to like drop like $150 on the founders pack. Like, what's that? Like, I'm sorry, like, you were supposed to be getting rid of the convenience of a console. If I'm gonna drop $150, I might as well just add another like $100 and get a Switch bundle. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, like, at least then I've got a console in my hand. I mean, yeah. The only thing is you can't. Well, you can with a Switch, but you wouldn't be able to take and plug it into anywhere, and it's better quality than a Switch. But yeah, you do make a good point that it's something that it's a weird thing. I don't think it's going to fail, but I don't think it's going to be super successful. I think it's going to be the start, but I think that there's going to be a few generations yet before it kicks off. A little bit like VR. A good thing that come out of this, a Football Manager does have an exclusive Stadia feature for the new one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I'm not sure how or what entirely, but
that is so odd. Why, we have to talk about that later.
They can due to it being cloud, because it doesn't rely on hardware on the user's end, they can, this is my understanding of it anyway, they can process more information that way. So you can do more in-depth simulation as such by using cloud-based stuff than you could using, say, a low-end laptop. So you could do the same as you could do on a high-end laptop on a low-end laptop.
Yeah, that's tough.
For Stadia. So
that's tough.
It has potential for a lot of games like that. You know, this is what Microsoft were trying to do with, what was it called? Crackdown 3. We all know how that went. But that's what they were trying to do with that. So the potential is there. Whether it works the first time round, we'll have to see. But I still think that the future's there, and that's where it's going to lie in the, not the very near future, but the future. Not too far, not too near, just sort of probably 5-10 years from now. I think cloud gaming is going to be where it's at.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to seeing how it's going to go. I'm looking forward to like the efforts that Microsoft and Sony are working on together, because I feel like they have a better chance of making a real solid cloud system that could be used across all platforms. Mm-hmm. But we'll have to see. It is true. We will have to see. Also, Google as a company is just like, there's just so many things going on with Google themselves as well. Like, I don't know how like safe it is, but saying that, like, we use Google, like, it's just, they're like it's almost like Disney. Like, they have such an internet presence. Google does, like, you go to Google for the first thing ever to search. Like, nobody goes to Bing or like Ask Jeeves or whatever in it now. You go to Google in it. So
you go to Yahoo.
Gosh, anyone still using Yahoo right now, just get rid of it. Like, I don't even know why people still have their email signed up. Like, it's been hacked like multiple times. Like, but yeah, Gamescom. What else is on the cards? Oh yes. You know exactly what was on the cards, and I watched all of it.
The Asus
the man himself. No, we're talking about the man himself.
I'm guessing you're on about the Death Stranding news. Obviously,
yeah, I'm on about I'm on about the Death Stranding news. The whole. Did you see all the gameplay and everything from it?
I've seen most of the gameplay from it. Yeah. And the more I see of this game, the more I keep getting interested in it. I understand that there's a urination mechanic. Like, okay, like, that's interesting, but also I don't know why it's there.
No, the one that really took it out of me is that, like, everyone was trying that was the most asked question. Are we going to see Norman Reedus' penis in the game? I was just like, what are you all asking this for? There's so many other questions about the game, and that is what everyone is wondering about.
The gaming community, ladies and gentlemen.
Give it up for them.
No, I think it's a really interesting concept, like really, really interesting. The whole Bridge Baby thing is starting to make a bit more sense to me now, and there's a little bit more to the name Death Stranding now that we're starting to see. I mean, we discussed this off air when it was, I think it was just after it was on, a few days after, and it's really sort of coming into fruition now as to what it is, and I like it. I like that there's still questions to ask about it, and I think that's the point in it. I don't think it's intended to be a game that gives you stuff and tells you this is what it is. It's a story, a very intricate, long-winded, you could say, mixed like story where you're probably going to be thrown into a lot of different situations and have to work out why you're there and what's happened, and there's probably a lot of dark things that have gone on, and personally I love that from any type of sort of media, books, films, TV, games, that's what I really like about stuff like that. Just questioning what sort of, why is that there? Why is this there? I think it hooks you in a little bit more rather than sort of handing it to you on a plate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think overall it's going to be probably one of the best games of the year.
For sure. I can definitely see that. Like, and the amount of people who keep playing the game and others, they just talk about how wild it is and like how they can't really comprehend their like feelings or thoughts towards the game. That they're just like, you just have to play it to understand it. And I'm just like, this must mean that there's more to the game than we've been shown anyway. Like, I always knew that. Like, the amount of people that was just like, oh yeah, it just looks like a walking simulator, or Kojima again, he doesn't make good games. Like, I don't know why Kojima's overrated. I'm just thinking, the people that say Kojima's overrated, yeah, post up. Like, I'm out here, you know where I'm at. You don't know where I'm at, really. But I will have a very, very heated debate with someone that says that Kojima's overrated. Like, who is your favorite developer then? Like, who really changed the game? Who introduced a stealth genre?
Was that a question to me, or
no? Obviously not you, because I know you don't. I can
give you an answer.
I know you don't think that Kojima is overrated. Like, you don't have those kind of thoughts, but I see a lot of people that do think that, and I feel like they think that because they just didn't enjoy Metal Gear Solid, or they just didn't get Metal Gear Solid. Like,
but I would say he's no Chris Sawyer.
What is no Chris Sawyer? Kojima birthed Chris Sawyers. Like he was. Kojima was way before Chris Sawyer. Like,
I didn't see Kojima writing stuff in assembly code by himself.
Well, I don't know what his first game was, but Kojima made like Snatcher. He made it so like when the cartridge smelled like blood and everything like that. When it got cold, you could smell the cartridge, and the cartridge actually smelled like blood, because that's how you could tell if it was a snatcher or not, is by the blood. So like that was already an innovation that he did. Like he was using the real world already to like bring it a closer sense. Like, he's just a genius. Like, who has like that kind of thought process in their head to think, oh, I'm gonna make all the cartridges smell like blood? Like, it's just
a psycho.
It's just insane. He is. Yeah, he definitely is a maniac. Like.
But yeah, no. To hold up to your point, yeah, he is. One of the legends of the gaming industry.
Yeah, for sure. And so was Chris Sawyer. Shouts out to Chris Sawyer, because he made Roller Coaster Tycoon arguably one of the greatest. No, I would say probably the greatest simulation game.
But yeah, another sort of interesting thing was that Jeff Keighley is going to be in the game as well.
Yeah, see, now this is where like things start to get like a little bit like, I don't know about Kojima just throwing all of his friends into a game. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I wish I could do the same thing. I wish I could just make a game and put all my friends in there. But like, Kojima's just taking it too far now. He's just pulling in everyone. Like, who's he going to bring in next?
No, might see an appearance from Snake himself.
Yo, that would be actually sick though. Like, imagine
I highly doubt it.
No. Imagine he didn't bring Snake in though. Like, he just brought the voice actor for Snake in and somebody who kind of looks like Snake.
I mean, he could easily use the likeness or representation of the actor that played. I can't remember who it was, but someone that played him in a film. Oh
yeah, well, that's where Snake's likeness comes from. Mm-hmm. It was Kurt Russell played him in Escape from New York.
Yeah, well, he could easily do that. I'm not sure how easy that would be, to be fair, but I feel like if it's Kurt Russell who's playing a different character, Konami don't own Kurt Russell's likeness.
Nah, they don't.
So I feel like you could do it in some way. You know, I mean, Konami does it themselves with football games. Konami takes the literal piss out of licensing for that alone. So there's ways around it, but I mean, there's a lot to cover. God, there was so much. I think the biggest thing, the other biggest thing was Cyberpunk 2077. We actually got a 15-minute gameplay reveal for that.
Let's get it.
I mean, have you watched it all, or have you not had the chance to see all of it?
I haven't had a chance to see all of it, but I think this was the full demo. Like, you know, the demo that we did see. I think this was like the full playthrough of it. Was it? Yeah, it was in like sequential order. So that was nice to see.
Yeah, this was the It wasn't necessarily in a sequential order, so it was like a 15-minute trailer, as such, with some possible spoilers, and they do say that at the start of the trailer, but they didn't want to spoil too much, so they took out certain aspects. But it's all in mixed up order. If you're interested, Young Years put a video together of it in sequential order. However, I wouldn't recommend going and watching it because it's god awful to watch in that order because it doesn't make any sense. But yeah, just if you have the time, there's a 15-minute video to go watch. They explain a lot about the mechanics, the character creation, the RPG elements, some of the gangs that are involved in the game, how some of the missions work, stuff like that. And you know, it does look really interesting. It really does. I'm excited for it. I think everyone's excited for it. Everyone's been excited for this game since that first photo, that first ever reveal.
Yeah, for sure. Are you talking about like the cybernetic like girl with like the stuff coming out of her back?
Yeah, and it feels like the game is going to come out in 2077 from how long ago that was.
Well, when we first seen that, I knew for a fact, like, we both said it, like, this game is not coming for ages. Like, we already knew, like, I was like, this game is not coming out. Like, look at how good. If they're trying to get to that level of detail within a game, I was like, we're never going to get this until maybe another 2 generations. And look at it, we're on the next generation now.
Yeah, it's only been 5 years since that release. Well, 6
we was in college when we seen that first splash screen, like that little image. That's a long time ago now. It's like 6 years. Damn. 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's a long time ago, and it's a very long time ago. But it's coming now, so it's the only thing that we could say. Yeah, it's finally coming. And it looks great. Thoughts though, like on the customization. I see a lot of backlash right now about it. What's your thoughts about it?
What are we discussing about the character customization here? Because there was a bit of controversy about that.
Yeah, well, they were talking about how like they only have body types and voice types, and no, they don't have any genders. Now, me personally, I don't have any problem with that, but some people really had a problem with that, and I just don't see why, because it's cyberpunk. So I don't like, if you know what cyberpunk is, there's not really much to do with anything to do with gender, so I don't know why people are getting so pressed about it. Like, it's a game. Like, I just didn't really see or understand. Like, people are boycotting the game now. I don't really see why.
Let them boycott the game.
I'm just thinking, what's your thoughts on it? Because I just thought it was stupid.
My thoughts are, I mean, I don't know the full details of it. I thought it was the fact that it was male and female, and then they've took that out now. So you can't pick a gender. I'm not sure, but
well, they took it out, and now they've given you like body types to pick from.
I
which
think
is
it's
like
perfectly fine.
I think that's fine for like a game where you're essentially a cyborg. Like I guess a cyborg wouldn't identify as anything. Like, it would identify as a cyborg, so I guess it would have a body type, wouldn't it? So I don't know. It's a very blurred line. especially when it gets into within games. But I just didn't think it needed to be backlashed about, and I didn't think it needed to have any. It was like almost trying to overshadow the fact that the game is absolutely amazing. Like, come on, God! Like, we finally have a game that looks so good and so great, and they've worked so hard on it, and it looks like they've been taking time to actually make a great game for us. That we've been screaming for, a great game with some substance, and you're gonna have some backlash because you can't choose whether you can be a male or not. Like, come on now, this is stupid. It's dumb.
People are going to sort of give backlash about anything these days. It could go into controversy, but my personal opinion is that it doesn't matter. There are two body types, but realistically, there's still also two body types in the real world. Such, you have a masculine body or a feminine body. It can go into political stuff here, and don't want to bring that up because it's not. Yeah, it's nothing to do with the show or the game itself.
What we're talking about exactly. We're just saying that, like, we don't see the point of it, and we think it's stupid. You don't need to backlash against the game. I have no problem with it, and I think it's fine, and I think also it allows gamers who also don't want to identify as that as well. It allows them to feel comfortable to play the game too. So it's just okay for everyone. Like, there's no issues for anyone. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't really see the point of it. But yeah, I just thought I'd just get that out of the way because it's quite current. Like, it's still ongoing news at the moment. So,
and it will be. By the time the game comes out, people have forgot about it. That's how it works.
No one's going to care. Yeah, no one is even going to care about it. So
someone's probably tweeted about it or started some backlash to get some attention, and they've got that. And by the time the game comes out in April next year, no one's going to remember that this happened. And if they do, then they can go and remember that by themselves and not play the game with everyone else because, that's up to them.
Yeah, for sure. Anything else to go down from Gamescom? Because there's just a lot of things to cover. Like, we'll just have to do some quick things. Otherwise, we're just going to run out of time altogether.
There was So we got a little bit more insight into Dragon Ball Kakarot, the RPG Dragon Ball game. There's a little bit more hands-on stuff like that, which was interesting. There's definitely going to be some videos available online to go and look at that.
Kakarot, I can't wait. It actually looks really good. I'm definitely all in on a Dragon Ball RPG. I've been getting into the actual, like, I enjoy the fighting game, but I only play it by myself. So I don't know how good I actually am. Like, I played it against my uncle a couple of days ago.
Not that good because you played it against me and you lost.
Yeah, and I lost. Yeah. I lost. I had no idea how to play the game at that point, but I have been getting better and I've been practicing. So be prepared.
The rematch is on.
Catch me in the tournament suit. Now, I'm joking. You're never going to catch me in the tournament. But shouts out to my guy, Iaxi. That's my guy still. He's definitely killing it in the FGC right now. So go check him out.
The other things that were covered were a little bit of Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. We spoke about that previously on the show, so we don't need to delve into that too much. Man of Medan, or Man of Medan, there's a demo for that. The game has been played a lot by YouTubers and streamers at the moment. It's a horror game. It's very dark, and a lot of interactivity. It's tipped to be sort of the next Until Dawn, and there's already a sequel on the way for it, by the looks of it as well. So that was what was on show, and it looks interesting. It looks really good. If you're into horror games, then I definitely recommend looking at it or going to pick it up. other things we've seen, big things we've seen, a bit more information on Marvel's Avengers. So we actually got to see a bit of gameplay for that now, and a little bit of how the tutorial works and sort of how the missions will work, and that was interesting to see. And we also saw that sort of each different character has their individual power types and special moves, so they do feel different in combat situations, which is good to see, you know, that sort of different gameplay elements in the same game. So switching out different characters in co-op will give you a different experience each time. I like that.
Okay.
More information on the Final Fantasy VII remake. Again, still looks amazing, but we've seen a lot of that before. And then, you know, the typical games that we know are coming out. And then, you know, a thing for me that was interesting that I watched a lot of was Planet Zoo, which is Frontier's new zoo simulation game, following on from the Planet Coaster game. So it's another game in the Planet series. And that looks really, really good. If you're a fan of simulation games.
Planet
Zoo.
Oh, they showed off more. I thought they announced another Planet game. I thought, whoa, okay.
Oh no, there was actual gameplay demos and live streams, and we saw a lot of stuff from that. So it's basically Zoo Tycoon on steroids. It's like Planet Coaster 2, but with animals, and they have dynamic weather in the game now. Snow. You could build indoor environments and put heaters on indoors to keep it warmer, or put it cold indoors and keep it snowy. The snow actually falls on the ground over time and settles depending on how hot it is, and the temperature drops and stuff. It's really interesting stuff they've got going on. The animals have memories where they remember where the food is and stuff. There's also things like terrarium exhibits, so the little sort of insect houses and stuff like that, you can place animals in those now. Mm-hmm. So the amount of detail that's gone into it is insane, really.
Sounds great.
It's guaranteed to be a good game. I know that personally from playing the Planet series. It's going to be a good game. And they also announced the beta for that that's coming out mid-September, I think the 24th of September. So if you pre-order the deluxe edition, you do get access to the beta, which I will be doing very shortly.
Yeah, Planet Zoo definitely sounds interesting. I never really got around to playing Planet Coaster because I didn't have a PC at the time, but I do now, and I would invest in that, and I would invest in Planet Zoo as well. Obviously, once I get everything back up and running once again. There was a lot of other things. I'm just going to give a quick rundown because we are literally running out of time. That we're going to have to blitz through the TV and film section and then give you the new releases for the week. Ubisoft was there, showed off a bit more of Watch Dogs Legion and Ghost Recon Breakpoint. You also got to play some of Final Fantasy VII, the remaster. Like a select group of people had a chance to play the game, and they said that was very impressive. So it was very, very different apparently from E3. Like a lot of the games that were announced at E3, there was playable portions that were either bigger or larger or more extensive that was available at Gamescom. But as I said, Gamescom isn't really a public event. It's more so of a press event. So there was also like a private presentation of the, as you said, of the Avengers game that showed that, you know, the final game is going to be quite significant and quite huge. So there was a lot of secret stuff probably that was told and announced that, you know, people have to sign NDAs or whatever, like we probably won't know about yet. There was a big thing about ray tracing with Nvidia for some reason they decided to use Minecraft to show off ray tracing. I don't know what that was about, but also the new Call of Duty as well is using ray tracing.
A lot of the new things have ray tracing.
Yeah,
and the big thing that you haven't mentioned yet was that the latest outing in the Train Sim franchise was shown off at Gamescom as well.
Tom, just get out of here.
I would say it does actually look
not gonna lie
graphically.
Yeah, I'm about to say not gonna lie. What engine are they using for this game? Because it looks hard. So yeah,
a train engine.
Train engine, you know, like Train Sim World 2020. You know, if you was waiting on that one from 2019, then they got you 2020. What else was there? I don't even know what else there was at Gamescom. There was a lot of bullshit that was just like talked about. There doesn't seem to be like a lot that was really announced. It's just like extended versions of stuff.
I think that was really it. There wasn't too much else that was.
And Kojima came on stage and like had a little like conversation Q&A with Jeff Keighley. It was, if you're a Kojima fan like me and just would just like to watch him just, you know, talk on stage with his translator and just bust joke and just, you know, be Kojima and shade Konami every now and again, then yeah, I definitely would watch it.
The only other game that was shown off at Gamescom but is now released was Ancestors: The Humankind Odyssey, which again looks really good.
Wait. I had no idea this was released.
Yeah, the game's now out. I'd recommend going to watch some Let's Plays. But if you want to go in for the full experience, then I'd recommend just buying the game and going in without watching Let's Plays. Just watch like before you buy or something that Game Ranks do. That'll give you an understanding of what you're buying into. They have said, a few people have said that it is quite hard to get into because it's quite long-winded and repetitive after a while, but the concept of trying to evolve and keep learning new things and evolve generations to try and beat the real-world timeline of generation is a really interesting concept, and as much as it might get repetitive and boring, I feel like you can always go back to it, and you know, the game, this is from what I've been reading and what I've seen, the game never tells you what to do because they're trying to be as real as possible.
Yeah, it essentially throws you in on the deep end and just says like, go for it, basically. So I have I have no problem with a game like that. Like, at least we're getting something fresh. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're getting something that is trying to do something new, as opposed to all of the stuff that we keep getting that like it's just stale. I really want to try it out. We've hyped this game up a lot since we first seen it last E3, not this E3, but the E3 before, innit? Or did we see it at?
Yeah.
No, we seen it at the Game Awards. I think it got first announced. It first got announced at the Video Game Awards, then got shown at E3 again, then it's now been released. So we've been really interested in this game, and it also comes from the one of the creators of Assassin's Creed as well. So this could be the start of like a new type of, you know, series and / genre.
Yeah, it's basically a survival game, which we've had a lot of, but it's a really interesting new take on the survival genre, and I personally would like to see more of it. There's that B game coming out that I can't remember. I think it might just be called the B game.
I literally think it is just called the B game, yeah, and that looks super interesting as well.
So I mean, I'd like games like this. It reminds me of in a way Spore, and I think it's Flow.
Yo, Spore was ahead of its time for sure. Like, they need like something like that to come back now would be insane. But I don't know how well it would do in this climate.
I think it'd do well still, for sure.
People haven't really been. I don't know if people have been screaming for a sport game, but like I feel like people there's a big enough demographic out there that definitely enjoyed the old sport. There's probably people carrying on servers somewhere. Has to be.
I don't know if that game had online.
Did not have online. Was it standalone only? Here's me not doing my research.
Yeah, I think it came out years ago. Anyway, we are getting off topic, and time is ticking down. So
yeah, time is definitely got like. There's so many things that we haven't discussed throughout, like the games of like Fortnite and Borderlands. A new horror game that looks very interesting. That's like a real world. Like the developers can do things to you mid game. It's a very interesting concept. I would love to discuss it more with you on the next show. Also,
we'll definitely
Overwatch coming to the Switch. That's a big thing if that's going to be true. So
it's not that big. But then I'm not an Overwatch player
well,
myself,
you're not Overwatch. Like, I just think it's really big because like having the ability to play Overwatch like anywhere, that's just sick. Like I know that is just cool. Like that is so cool. All right, that was good. No one likes Overwatch. That's what I've come to know. Like so many people hate on it. Am I the only one that likes Overwatch?
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Obviously, I know people that like Overwatch.
Oh yeah, obviously, yeah, you do. But I'm just saying, like, so many people hate on it though. Like, I've been speaking to people like recently, and they're just like, Overwatch. It's not really that great, is it? Like, it's not a great game. I was just like, what? Like, it's all right. Like, it's fun. Like, I wouldn't say it's the best game, but like, I really have no problem with Overwatch.
It has its own demographic and own community, but I mean, every game does. But speaking about something that probably is going to have its own demographic or own community in a way, and something that's a bit different, is something that is film and TV related as we move on to that section.
Bridging the gap between music and gaming. 808s and Joysticks.com.
And that is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker film, which is coming out really soon. We have spoke about this a lot previously, and it's something that I've been excited for ever since he was cast in this film. Well, not even since he was cast in this film, ever since the film was announced. And apparently it got a 8-minute standing ovation, and people are already tipping Joaquin Phoenix's performance in this for an Oscar, which I don't want to say I called when he was cast for it, but I did call it.
But it like, he did the Heath Ledger approach. Apparently, like, he nearly went mad, like, trying to do the character, like, halfway between doing the character. So I was just like, yeah, that's just method acting gone really, really bad. Like, the Joker, like, is a character that does that to people. Playing someone that's so deranged and so off the rails all the time, like, the trailer itself just looked like crazy. I was just like, this is definitely what I expected from the Joker. Like, when you watch the animated series, the Joker's so dark, he's so malicious, he's so murderous. Like, you don't really understand how evil and insane this man is. Like, if you read some of the comics, like, wow, like, I was kind of, well, obviously you got the Killing Joke, which is what this is based on, and then obviously it's based on the famous monologue One Bad Day. This is basically will show him having his one bad day, which just changes everything for him. Like, he just has enough, and then he just snaps. I
really like the fact that I really like the fact that it pulls from really, really good source content, but not directly, and still does its own thing. It does look like this is just going to be a standalone approach to it as well, because I think he's only signed up to the one deal on this. Which I personally don't mind.
Well, let me just stop you there, because this is intended to be the introduction to the DC Black universe, which is a total separate universe from the DC movie universe. So these are going to be the standalone films that don't have anything to do with that universe. So we could well see a sequel within that, like, whatever that branch is. Whether we always talk about this with, like, we really need to have the show where we discuss, like, DC and what they're actually doing, because they're not handling things very well. Like,
I don't mind this. This is what I want them to do, though.
I would want them to do this as well, but, like, do we have to get the other Joker film as well? Like, I don't want that one as well.
And unfortunately, yes.
Jesus Christ. Jared Leto's not good. I'm sorry, everyone. He ain't good. He's not good.
We have to put a PG-13 Joker out there for some people.
But why Jared Leto? He's not good.
I can't answer that question. But
do you think he's good?
Not really. A question I would put forward, though, is... Well, it's not really a question. It was going to be a question, but it's more of a statement now for myself. But I was going to say, if there was any film role that I would like to portray if I was an actor, the Joker for me would probably be up there as, like, number one. I don't know why, I just really like that character and feel like it would be a really good role to try and play. It's a hard role, but I feel like the sort of achievements that you get from getting that right, you know, if you do that role well, then you've done a really good job, like, because it's such a hard role to try and portray.
To be honest, like, everyone has, like, their own favorite Joker, like, except for Jared Leto. That's certain people's favorite Joker, but obviously that's because they just love Jared Leto. And don't get me wrong, I really thought that, like, he was gonna shape up to be a pretty new, unique, and good, like, Joker, because that Joker is, like, quite a new. I'm just saying the way how he looked, like that. I'm not gonna lie, like, I can't lie, like, when I seen his character, because I've seen the comic version of that Joker. When I seen his character, I thought, wow, it looks quite close to the comic book one. I was like, this is interesting. I want to see how they're going to do it. And then when the film came out, obviously it was just trash. Like, Margot Robbie was trash as Harley Quinn. I don't want to see that as a film. Will Smith has jumped ship, so I don't know what's going to happen with his character.
They're just replacing him with
I think they're just going
to
put another black guy in there and just hope everyone doesn't notice. I don't know what they're going to do.
I feel like many film companies may have done that before.
Oh, well, they did that with Iron Man. Like, come on now, Don Cheadle and Terrence Howard, they look nothing like each other. How are you expecting me to think that that's War Machine now? Like, I was just so confused when I was watching Iron Man 2. I was like, but wait a minute, is that not War Machine? But War Machine was Terrence Howard before. Like, what? But either way.
I mean, they've done it previously in the MCU. They did it with Hulk.
Oh my gosh. Hulk, they've changed Hulk, like... How many Hulks have we seen now?
It's only previously been one in the MCU that's been changed. Because I think the Hulk film from 2007.
Okay, we had the one with... what's the guy's name, man? What's his name? Is it Eric? Is Eric something in it? Eric Banner? No, not
Eric Banner.
Not Eric Banner. Eric Banner is Hulk, innit?
It's Edward Norton was the original Hulk in the 2008 film.
No. The one before that. There's a Hulk film before that.
Yeah, but that Hulk film is not part of the MCU.
Oh wait, so the Edward Norton film is classed as Jesus.
Edward Norton film is part of the MCU, and then it changed to Mark Ruffalo after that.
Wait. Here he is. His name was Eric Banner. Obviously, Hulk's name is Bruce Banner. Why are you even trying to play me like that, Tom?
You're on about the 2003 movie, not the...
Yeah. I'm on about... Yeah, that Hulk film.
We're on about the 2008 movie that's part of the MCU. Because the 2003 was just a standalone film.
I never, ever watched the 2008 one. I don't think I ever watched it. But Hulk 2003 was alright.
Yeah, that
wasn't
film was
too
alright.
bad. Yeah, I remember
going to the cinema to watch that film.
Yeah, same. I went to the cinema to watch like that. I just thought he was sick. I was like, whoa.
Way before people went to cinema to watch.
Oh yeah, to watch superhero films. Yeah, for sure. Like way before. Like you was not seeing that many people in the theater. Like especially when I could even say the same when like the first Spider-Man and that came out. Like I remember going there. I loved it. Like, but I couldn't. It didn't have the same acclaim. Like I only loved Spider-Man because I had the games, I had the comics, I watched the TV series on when it was Fox Kids. It wasn't even Jetix back then. It was Fox Kids. Like
Jetix.
Yeah, Jetix. You know, it was like, them ones there. I changed to Disney XD now. How whack.
Well, you say you love Spider-Man, so there's no better time to bring this up.
I don't feel too good, Mr. Iger.
Yeah, what the hell's going on here?
I don't know, man. Like Sony and Disney, man, is they broke up, man. They weren't seeing eye to eye.
This is probably like I don't know.
This is well and truly, and excuse me, fucked up the MCU now. Like
this is the worst breakup since
this is the
Miley
worst.
Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth.
That breakup needed to happen still because Miley was big wilding. Yo, I stand with Liam.
You know, this is the one of the most pivotal breakups ever from Disney since Troy and Gabriella broke up in High School Musical 2.
Gosh. Only you would say that. Like,
that shit was hard, man. You know?
Oh, so I guess you're excited for High School Musical, the show, the musical, then?
No, it's High School Musical, the series.
Jesus Christ.
I think. Well, I'm not sure.
Did they do that for the memes, or did they really want to do that though?
No, because it's High School Musical, but they do a musical of High School Musical, and then a documentary series on them doing a musical of High School Musical.
Wait, is
That's
that
the
what
whole
it is?
concept of the show, yeah.
Oh, fuck out of here. Sorry, Disney. No one asked for that.
It's like The Office does High School Musical.
Oh my God. And it's not going to be funny. And it's the same thing as well. Like Disney, like they're just making my case more and more like better. Like they somehow managed to get Hilary Duff to come back as Lizzie McGuire in her 30s. Who asked for that?
Some people.
Lizzie McGuire now. No. Tom, let me outline the plot. No. Wait, let me outline the plot of this, and let me I just want you to just take this in. Lizzie McGuire is now in Soho, and her boyfriend owns a nice bistro. That is the setup of the series. Who is that post? Who is that for? I need to know. I have no idea who they're actually trying to get out to because, and it can't be even really. It can't be our generation anymore. It can't be. It can't. I just don't know. Like Lizzie in her 30s. I don't think anybody who watched Lizzie McGuire in their 30s yet. So how can we relate?
Probably not.
No, definitely not. Like
how can you not relate to being in your 30s and your boyfriend having a bistro in Soho?
Because I'm in my 20s and I don't own a bistro. and neither does my girlfriend, and I'm in Manchester. That's exactly what I gotta relate to. Like, I have no idea why they've decided to bring this back. I have no idea why they did this, but this is just stupid. I don't know. Disney Plus, have a blast. I would definitely not be purchasing anything, and you're definitely not tying me down for no 3-year deal on your streaming service to get it for £49 a year. That was some bullshit. Disney knows it was some bullshit. Tom, you are the people that they get. See, you're the problem.
I mean, they got some good content coming.
Oh, there we go. They just hook you in straight away. I know exactly what you seen. You seen that Mandalorian like trailer, and you was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." He's like
Mandalorian.
Oh, whatever. I don't care. What's good? He was like, "Oh yeah." It starts rubbing your hands.
Have you seen the full trailer?
Yeah, that's in the trailer. It kind of looks hard.
Did you ever see the leaked footage of the episode?
No.
When you see the leaked footage of the episode, then you'll be coming back and going like, okay, fair enough. It looks good.
I'm not coming back anywhere. As I said already,
you imagine old school Star Wars, proper like Boba Fett bounty hunter shit, and a full season of that. You know, the same ugly ass looking aliens we see in the canteens and stuff, like all the time. Like all that stuff, the good stuff.
The good stuff. You see, yeah, like I did see the trailer. I thought, okay, this kind of looks hard, but as I said before, I will not be purchasing a Disney streaming service. I will have access to somebody else's.
Do you already use a Disney streaming service?
Yeah, when I go back to my girlfriend's house, like, yeah, we use the streaming service there, but it's closed now anyway. Like, they've started to like migrate stuff, so I don't think like I don't know if they're gonna purchase that streaming service, but they probably will, because there's gonna be like exclusive Disney content on there, and like that's a Disney household. Like I'm obviously gonna have access to it, and I will check out what is going on there, like, just to see, like, but I am personally not purchasing anything. I'm not going to be getting, and even if I didn't have access to it, I will be finding my content elsewhere.
Well, I mean, there's some big things announced at D23. Yeah, High School Musical, the series, the trailer is out. And, we have a new, I didn't know that. Slightly gutted. I was going to say I'd love to see a Sharpay cameo, but there's a new Sharpay. I don't think it's actually Sharpay. I just think it's someone that plays like the role of that. But
Tom, we're not seeing any of them, man. Again, Vanessa Hudgens and that, they're not going to come back in this.
Zach's coming back.
Of course, Zach's coming back. He ain't got shit to do.
Troy Bolton in his 30s. What do you mean he's not got shit to do? My man's putting in Ted Bundy performances out here.
Yeah, that film was
not literally, but like,
and that film was just not that good. It wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be.
That film was good.
In my opinion, nah, I didn't like it. It got really boring for me. Like, I was expecting a lot more, and then, like, because I already know the Ted Bundy story a lot, I was waiting for certain things in it to be like portrayed, and I was like, they just couldn't do this all in one film. That you couldn't scope out the madness of the man in just one film. And I'm not saying that, you know, Zac Efron's portrayal of Ted Bundy wasn't good, because it was. I thought he did play it very well. He played the nice guy who seemed to be a sane man very well, and then he played the unhinged side very well as well. Like, I did mess with that, but the film itself just was a little bit flat. Like, I just didn't think it was that exciting, like, as it was being portrayed as, if you know what I mean.
More stuff that we sort of covered last week. You remember that I mentioned there's going to be a possible Obi-Wan Kenobi series? with
Yeah,
Ewan
well,
McGregor.
there is. Yeah,
Well,
there
yeah,
is. It got announced.
it's confirmed, and that is also going to be like, I don't know, really good. Can't wait for that.
See what I mean? They're just reeling you in, aren't they? They're just reeling you in, Tom. Just reeling you in. But what happens when they just decide that they don't want to make a lot of these shows anymore, and they're just going to cancel them? Then what?
Then they'll just make more.
Dude, that's not an answer. Like, that is not an answer. Like, I'm already telling you already that there's going to be a ton of things that like Disney that are just going to get rid of if it's not popular, and we're just going to be like, oh yeah, that's out the MCU now, so let's just forget about it.
Yeah, but that's what Netflix does. Just because it's Disney, it's sort of painted in a different.
No. Netflix does not have an ongoing universe. Disney does, the MCU, which they keep adding shit to. So I want to know how we're going to make sure things are going to be stable. Spider-Man, they just lost Spider-Man out of there now. They're just adding random characters. Why the hell are they adding? Why? Not completely.
Not
Spider-Man
completely.
is... How so?
They're still in discussions for a bumper deal, apparently now. I think it's just a ploy by Sony to sort of go back and be like, no, we don't agree with you. But chuck a few $200 million on the table, and we might consider it.
But Disney they've already had discussions like that. They've already had large scale discussions, and Disney's already said no. We're going with our original deal. We want the 50-50 split. Apparently, they even had prior negotiations to this as well, and I think Sony brought to the table. Like a 65 35 split. Disney said no, they want 50-50. Sony was just like, no, we know our weight and our pull, and we know that you was using Spider-Man to be like the next guy, so we're just gonna pull Spider-Man out. What can you do? You sold us the rights years ago. Like, we own Spider-Man. That's your own fault. So, and to think as well that they sold Spider-Man to Sony back in 1999 for $7 million.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, back then it wasn't,
I know, yeah,
it was crazy back then. But yeah, so Sony out there sort of literally owning people. They basically own the rights to Tom Holland's career right now, because my guy signed up to be Spider-Man, and now he's in the middle of this whole shit, and he has said that he's just going to continue playing Spider-Man and have fun with it. But deep down, he's sat there going, I've signed up to some dumb shit here, and I don't know what I'm going to do.
Well, we're just going to have to see, because, as I said, Disney wanted to pull away Kevin Feige in the first place. That was one of the also things that Sony was upset about. The fact that they wanted Kevin Feige to work on other projects. That means he could no longer work on the Spider-Man projects. So Sony was obviously like, well, who's going to do them then? Because he's the only one that does them right. So, and obviously this is like, I don't know, go figure. Also, can you give me a 50-50 split on Spider-Man? And then Sony's like, we own the rights, so no. And they also own the rights to not just Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse. That's 926 characters. It's a lot of characters. So, I don't know. I have no idea. how this is all going to go. But this was obviously not in Disney's plans, was it? So we're probably definitely going to have to rethink everything.
Mm-hmm. Other things that were announced were a She-Hulk series coming to Disney Plus, which I'm for. A Marvel Moon Knight series heading to Disney Plus in 2022, which is interesting.
Definitely, I accredit that to RDC World 1. They did like a skit on all the Marvel characters that didn't make it, and then Marvel announced films and TV series from most of those people now. It's really weird. It's very, very weird.
Yeah, because we also have Miss Marvel coming to TV as well. and I think don't think they've gave a date for that yet. They've said no earlier than late 2021 or early 2022, but there's no sort of official date for it. Yeah. Like a lot of this stuff. And then we just got a few more trailers of stuff that we know is coming out, such as The Mandalorian, Frozen 2, a lot of announcements about new things coming to Disney theme parks. And also we have announcement of the next Disney film, or the next Disney animated film, which is called Raya and the Last Dragon, which stars, I think, Cassandra Steele. Yep, and Awkwafina as well.
And then also, like, Pixar's latest film, Soul, is going to be Jamie Foxx is going to be voicing the lead. So that's going to be pretty hilarious.
Mm-hmm. I think that also is going to have Chris Pratt and Tom Holland in it as well.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool.
I'm not sure if that's in that film or in the other Pixar film.
That was the Pixar film. This is the first black lead in a Pixar film as well, which I didn't even, when I really think about it, I didn't even know. So, yeah, so that's pretty cool as well. Joe, like, he's probably not going to be as bad as I think it's going to be, but I just don't know. I just don't know how it is going to work. Like, it's just a Disney service. I don't know how many people are going to invest in it. But then again, like, I'm not the sole consumer of Disney. Like, there's so many other people that, like, really love Disney. Like, you really like stuff. Say again.
Was that a pun?
No, it was not a pun at all. Like, they don't even know what the film I'm talking about. Okay, the Pixar film's called Soul. It's not a pun. But yeah, we spent way too long on Disney. We've literally ran out of time. Like, we need to move on. But yeah, I don't know. Like, Sony and Disney, I don't know if they're ever going to figure that out, but that's really messed up the phases. D23, they just announced so much stuff to try and, like, basically make everyone forget about this. I don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully we'll have some more positive news on that to discuss next week. But Sony, get your coin, make some cool films. Into the Spider-Verse is pretty sick. I finally got around to watching it. It's pretty good. So I would like more of those type of films.
Yeah, I'd also like them to stop being greedy, but yeah, we can't have what we wish for. Oh,
stop Sony from being greedy. You mean big boss Disney? Tom, you sound a little bit like a fanboy right now. Are you in the D23 fan club?
I mean, coming from the person that's in the Sony fan club, then
I already know. Hey, I admit I'm a Sony fanboy. I say it. I already know I am. I brought every PlayStation. I am. I gladly admit that. But can you admit that, though, Tom? Can you admit that you're a Disney fanboy? I'd rather be a Sony fanboy than a Disney fanboy. Just saying.
Yeah, represent. Hashtag D23.
I'm actually going to tweet that. I'll be like, Tom is actually a D23 and potentially... I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
We out here on the D side. Represent.
Whoa, the D side. What's going on? Music.
Yo, East Side High represent.
Shut up. We're moving on to music because we definitely need to just go through the new releases.
Go Wildcats.
Go what? Bridging the gap between music and gaming. 808s and Joysticks.com.
Alright, new albums that came out. Brockhampton Ginger. Yeah, I really want to, like, talk about this more in depth, like, next show, because I got some words for the album still. It's not great.
Really?
Because, like, I just wasn't... Brockhampton just ain't hitting it for me anymore. I think I fell off them as, like, a group. Like, I just don't know. I don't know what it is, but I just...
You better get back on the train, because they're performing live on Ellen pretty soon. And that train's going to go 3 times the speed.
I don't think it does though, because they only sold 77k first week, and they did a lot of merch bundles. So I don't think the impact of Brockhampton is happening like they want it to. I don't really hear them on the radio. They haven't really hit like that yet. And going on Ellen is cool, but like I don't really care. Like the album just didn't it just wasn't enough. Like it just wasn't what I was looking for out of a Brockhampton album. Like it just seemed very all over the place. I just wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling like. I'm not to say that like, you know, I'm not saying it was a poor album in any way. Like I think there's like 2 songs on there that I really enjoy. Like I like Dearly Departed. That's just because like obviously that's their side of the story to do with like Amir and whatever, and like how they dealt with it. But at the same time, I was just kind of thinking to myself, just like, why are you addressing this now? Like I just don't really understand. Like it just didn't need to really be said. And I don't know, like I just think that they're obviously trying a lot more harder now to like promote and like promo themselves, and I just preferred it. I know it's like the thing of like, you know, like I prefer their old music, but I think I just really like the Saturation trilogy. I love that sound, and obviously they're just not doing that sound anymore. I just don't like what they're doing. I don't like Joba's rapping. It's just not for me. But not to say that it's not for you. Like if you enjoy it, then you know, more power to you.
I wouldn't say it's their best project, but I wouldn't say it's bad as such. You know, the more, again, what I find about Brockhampton projects is the more I listen to them, the more I not resonate with them, but start to pick up on things I didn't notice to start with, and it gets better.
Yeah,
but I must say I have found myself going back to their previous albums as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I went back to Saturation 3, and then like after like I skimmed through Ginger, because like I was listening to the songs and I was just like, this just isn't for me. Like I just felt like I'm not what they're targeted towards anymore. I don't think it's me, so I just not feeling it anymore. So I don't know. Not to say that they're not doing their thing, whatever. Shouts out to KTT, Brockhampton, all of that. Like it's cool to see how they're grinding and where they've come. Like it's cool. But anyway, Kano, Hoodies all summer. I'm actually going to see Kano as well in October. Shouts out to Kano. So I actually haven't listened to this album all the way through because it only came out like a couple of days ago. I'm so behind the music. I'm currently like moving houses. It's just terrible. Lana Del Rey, I haven't listened to her album either. Norman fucking Rodwell, not listened to it. Guessing it's just Lana Del Rey doing Lana Del Rey. She's alright. Like, not the biggest fan of hers, but she's got some alright boppers. So
yeah, it's typical Lana Del Rey. But
yeah,
there are a few changes to the formula, but it's not massive, but it works.
Yeah, Lil Tekka. We all love Tekka. I have not listened to this. I don't really plan on listening to it because like I've seen like the kid is really he's just rapping lies. I can't resonate with that. I'm sorry. He's not about the life. So I'm not gonna.
He's not about the life, but I mean, the album's good.
Yeah, it's things like that are just weird though, innit? Like I'm not gonna listen to things like that if it's not genuine. But there's been some very impressive singles that have come out though as well. Post Malone Circles, Post Malone 3, September 6th, sounding pretty hard. Sounding like Post Malone that I like, not the beer bongs and Bentleys. Definitely the Post Malone that I like. It sounds a lot better. So Well, you're not feeling this one.
It's all right, but I mean,
Do you prefer Beer Bongs and Bentley?
I preferred Post's old sound.
Well, if you could all
White Iverson and Stoney was like.
I would love for him to go back to
probably his.
My favorite project of his was August 26th. That was like the mixtape before Stoney. That was sick. Like I loved that mixtape. Like I just thought, wow, like if he just did this a lot more, I would love it. And obviously, yeah, Stoney was an amazing like debut project. Beer Bongs and Bentleys, I never really liked that much, but you did. And then this one sounds pretty cool. Like I like the song so far. I like the Goodbyes. I like the Circle
Goodbyes
song.
is good.
And I like the intro snippet that he dropped on Instagram. That sounds tough. So I'm in on this new album still. Quickly as
Beer
well.
Bongs and Bentleys didn't hit it off for me straight away. It did take a few sort of listens for it to actually get in. But it, I enjoyed it in the end. Yeah, I don't hate Circles, and I don't love it, but I enjoy listening to it. But I much prefer Goodbyes. But saying that, I do like when Post does his singing a bit more as well. So I am still excited for this album. I feel like it's going to be more what he originally wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
now that he's got into a space where he makes so much money for the label and he's really big, I think he could maybe he could start doing more things that he wants to do. So hopefully we start seeing more things of like August 26 again and things like that. So yeah, hopefully. But anyway, quickly still running down ASAP Rocky, Babushka Boy, hard. I really like it. A lot of people hate it, but I really like it. So, what's your thoughts on it, real quickly?
It's alright. I wouldn't say it's... Again, like it's... To me, nothing's really hit out as being fantastic out of all these releases. It's an okay song. It has a purpose. It's a typical A$AP Rocky song, if you ask me. There's nothing that's too special about it. But, I mean, it shows that obviously he has been working on stuff and something is possibly in the works for more.
I think this is definitely a part of a bigger thing because it seems like it's following some type of story. So, I don't know, like, he's been teasing this Babushka Boy, like, look at everything for a while now. So, I'm thinking he's definitely got something to show about this. Sociopath by Pusha T featuring Cash Doll also got released. That was the leak from one of the Daytona sessions. It's hard as hell. It's Kanye and the production again. Got another Pusha T song as well called Coming Home featuring Miss Lauryn Hill. Also very, very good. Don't know who produced that one, but it's a very, very good song. Also, Black Party released his album Endless Summer. I don't know if you know about Black Party, but we know, Black Party is really good. You need to check it out. It's really, really good. It's called Endless Summer. He's still signed to Wolf and Rothstein, which is obviously like fam and them. So he still has ties to Childish Gambino, which is great to see. Guap Daddy's got a new single called Prada Process featuring Black. So that's pretty hard as well. I like Guap Dad. 6 Lakh Black. Also, under the radar, E40 released the album and it's not too bad. So, yeah, check out E40. Bay Area legend. All-round rapping legend as well. I think that is it. Oh, shouts out to Young Thug on his first #1 album as well with So Much Fun. That album is so much fun. It's a really good album.
There's one more single as well that I've put on the playlist for this week, which is Bahana Health Food. I previously put Bahana on the playlist. Well, I think it was possibly on the first ever playlist. Bahana was on there, or one of the first few. So we've been following him for a while. He's a really good artist. So that was sort of his typical sort of soft sort of soothing voice, a little bit of like R&B, jazzy funk influence on that as well. So a good all round happy song as well. But that is all the time we've got today.
Yeah,
it's been a great show again. All the sort of feedback and reception we're getting from the rebrand, obviously, is really good. Remember to sign up to our newsletter as well on our website to get in-depth sort of coverage each week of when new episodes have dropped, what they're about. Same with the playlist, and also just updated on any sort of news regarding the 808s and Joysticks brand itself.
Yeah, that's about it really for the show. So we'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
808s and Joysticks with Tom Stone and Tairell Hayward Brown.